my sweeties, and welcome back to my channel. If you don't already know me, my name is Celise, and thank you for joining my spooky little family. In today's video, we are going to be talking about everything I watched this month. That means horror movies and non-horror movies and some Pride movies I did not specifically review this month. And with that said, let's get into the video. So, I watched a total of 26 films this month, which is like literally a movie every single day, almost. Okay, so I'll just go right in order. I watched Bound from 1996. This is directed by Lily Wachowski and Lana Wachowski. This film stars our queen, Jennifer Tilly, and I just gotta say, the poster for this is a vibe, and this was actually one of my favorite watches this month. Everything about this was a lot of fun. This film is like, it is so ridiculous, and it's just funny seeing these kind of mob movies. I don't want to give too much away if you haven't seen it. If you would like to watch it though, it is a lot of fun and it is very gay. If you're like me and you also have a crush on Jennifer Tilly, it basically follows Jennifer Tilly, who is dating this guy who is in the mob, and I don't want to give too much away, but she fucks with what's going on, and this other girl is involved that she is attracted to, and things are steamy, and it is a lot of fun, and there are a lot of spooky bad bitch moments. So 10 out of 10 recommend. I gave this film 4 stars, so pretty good. Next, we have one that was really fun that I actually found on Shudder, and it is called Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker, directed by William Asher. This film is from 1982, and I have to say, it is 100% 80s vibes, and it is a lot of fun. The performance from the mom in particular was really, really good. This film is about a woman named Cheryl who has raised her nephew as her son. She is very toxic, and she is very interested in every single thing that her nephew is doing. And their relationship is very Norma and Norman Bates vibes. So if you like Bates Motel, you would definitely enjoy this film. It is very 80s. The story is kind of crazy, but the performance from the leading woman is so good. It kind of had me like Pamela Voorhees Who. If you would like to watch this one, it is in the queer horror section on Shudder, so I definitely recommend checking it out. And I gave Butcher Baker Nightmare Maker a solid 3 stars, more so for the performance from Susan Terrell. I think that this movie, her performance, I highly recommend it. Ooh, the next one is Good Manners from 2017. This film was actually recommended to me from one of my good friends, Joni, and it is a Brazilian fantasy horror werewolf movie. This film is so well done. The effects and everything looks so great. It basically follows this lonely nurse named Clara from the outskirts of Sao Paulo, and she is hired by this very mysterious, wealthy woman named Anna, and she becomes kind of like her caretaker while this woman is pregnant, and she does not know she does not know what is to come. I don't want to give too much away. This is also another gay horror, so I highly recommend it. The two women develop a very strong bond. This is basically like one of those tragedy kind of films. It's really sad and heartbreaking. This film, it got me in the feels. I gave this one 4 stars out of 5. I highly recommend this one if you want a really good fantasy horror that is gonna make you cry a little bit. Next, we have A Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge. I just recently did a whole review of this film if you would like to go check it out. This film, do I even need to say anything? It is iconic. All I have to say about this movie is Mark Patton. Mark Patton! Next on this list, I always watch this movie at least once a year. I watch the Rocky Horror Picture Show. This is one of my favorite musicals ever. I have been a fan of this movie since I was in like 9th grade. And whenever I watch this movie, I get down. Like, I do the time warp and I get down. It is a lot of fun. If you have not seen the Rocky Horror Picture Show, you definitely have to. All I have to say with this one is Tim Curry in high heels. Tim Curry in high heels. And of course, Rocky Horror Picture Show got 5 stars out of 5 because it's absolutely perfect. Oh boy. Okay, so now we're getting to some of the movies that I wanted to die while watching, and that is Nurse 3D from 2013. This one was a hot ass mess. This film stars Paz de la Huerta, and I mean, Paz de la Huerta she is very pretty, she's cool, but I have to be real, this film was a mess. Now, I don't know if it was her necessarily or the script. I mean, I feel it was a combination of both, though I have seen Paz de la Huerta in Boardwalk Empire, and she was pretty good in that. So I'm not really sure how her acting was so awful in this movie. I have to be honest and say that the script for this film is awful. Not to mention, they kind of did Paz de la Huerta dirty with this movie because she got injured on set and they basically had to like pay her a bunch of money to cover her injuries. And if I remember correctly, she couldn't finish the voiceover work and they ultimately did not use it, and they didn't tell her, and they just used someone else who was like emulating her voice. And I mean, it was really embarrassing. I don't know who is the actual person that did the voiceover in the final cut of this film, but it sounds literally nothing like Paz de la Huerta, and it's just a mess. I gave Nurse 3D a half a star, and honestly, I would give it no stars. It's really not a good time. All right, now that I'm off that tirade, let's go right into The Old Dark House from 1932. This was part of me getting my horror education. This film is directed by James Whale. This film was pretty good, a spooky little movie. It is actually on YouTube if you would like to watch it. I watched this film with my friend Chris, and we had a good time. It was a vibe. Ooh, okay. Next we have a Polish film that I watched from 2015 called The Lure. This film was really, really beautiful and I liked it, but I remember it being quite confusing and kind of just one of those movies that it's more cool as a vibe than as a film itself. This film is like a horror fantasy musical, and to be honest, I don't have anything against musicals. I just didn't really like the songs in this film and the way, I don't know, it was just, I think ultimately it was the fact that a lot of the songs in this film, when they were singing, I really didn't understand what they were talking about. Like, I didn't understand how it made any sense with the film. Now, I don't know, maybe this is one of those movies that like somebody will come in the comments and drag me and say, you just didn't get it. And you know what? Maybe I didn't. But all I have to say is, it wasn't really for me. But I did give it 3 stars because I thought visually it was stunning. I thought the acting was really, really good. And, you know, like I said, the movie itself, it's a vibe. But other than that, did I really understand the story too much? No. Okay, so next we have a documentary, and that is Scream Queen, My Nightmare on Elm Street. This is the documentary about Mark Patton's experience with Nightmare on Elm Street 2, Freddy's Revenge, and this documentary itself is really, really good and really interesting because you get all this backstory about the film and at the time this film was released and all the backlash that it received, as well as all the backlash that Mark Patton himself received. And you get just a little more insight on what was going on with him and basically where he was at that point in his life. And it's just a really, really touching story. And honestly, watching Nightmare on Elm Street 2, I did fall in love with Mark Patton. I think that he is officially one of my favorite Scream Queens. I said this in my recent video reviewing this film. But there's something about him that is so warm and charming that when you watch this documentary, you just want to give him a hug. I love him. This was a really, really good documentary. And honestly, can we talk about the poster for this documentary? It is absolutely gorgeous. I gave this documentary 5 stars out of 5. Next up, we have an older film, and that is Dracula's Daughter from 1936. This one is about a countess from Transylvania who seeks a psychiatrist's help to cure her vampiric cravings. Now, I watched this film because I heard some good things about it. I thought it was just okay. It definitely left a lot to be desired. I wanted a lot more. This film is also fairly short. It was only 71 minutes. So, I mean, I feel like they could have given us a lot more story and I probably would have liked it better, but I thought it was just okay. I gave this film 2 stars out of 5. Next, we have A Hot Ass Mess again. And this is a film from the Hulu Into the Dark series. And if you're anything like me, a lot of these Hulu Into the Dark series movies, they kind of miss the mark. I feel like either some of them are okay and like fun, or they're just really, really bad. And to me personally, this film, Midnight Kiss, was just bad. Now, this film is about a group of gay friends who head to Palm Springs for New Year's, and there's like this killer on the loose, and basically things take a turn as the friends all search for someone to kiss at midnight, and they invite a killer into the mist. I did not enjoy this film. I didn't find it funny or really entertaining. A lot of the time I was just cringing. So I definitely don't recommend this film. I gave it half a star, so that's all you need to know. Next up, I have one that is really, really fun. I watched a Sorority Row from 2009 with my friends the other night, and it was actually a lot of fun. This is one of those movies that is just really silly 2000 slasher. If you haven't seen it for some reason, it is about 5 girls in a sorority that inadvertently cause the murder of one of their sisters in a prank that goes wrong. And this film is just funny because a lot of the girls in the sorority, they just all suck, except for maybe 2 of them. All the other ones are pretty awful. So when they die, it's kind of like, you had it coming. This is a great film if you're just hanging out with your friends and you're having like a sleepover. I highly recommend it. Because this film is a lot of fun, I actually gave it 3.5 stars. Next on this list, we have one that I don't even know why I watched it, and that is Jason X. This is one of the worst movies I've ever seen in my life, and that is all I'm gonna say. I gave it 1 star. Okay, so next up we have the entire Chucky series that I watched. I actually did a ranking of the entire franchise that you can check out right now over on my channel. It was actually really fun rewatching all these movies and coming to a new conclusion of which one is my favorite now after rewatching all of them. I always thought that my favorite was Child's Play, but no. It definitely changed, and if you would like to find out, head over to my ranking video. Next up, we have one of my favorite watches this month, one that I was so excited for, and that is The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It. This is the latest Conjuring installment, and I had so much fun watching this film. I was so happy because this film came out 2 days before my birthday, so it was like my little birthday present. I really did enjoy this installment. I've been hearing a lot of mixed reviews about it. I've heard a lot more hate than love with this one, but I have to be honest, you guys, whenever I see Patrick Wilson and Vera Farmiga in a film, I scream and buy panic. They kind of did this new thing. They did like a fresh take. It did not have the exact same formula as all the other Conjuring movies, and that is why I liked it. If you would like to see a review of The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, please let me know down in the comments below. Next on this list, we have Hellbent from 2004. This film was so incredibly hard to find. I was looking for it because it is another gay slasher film, and this film, I don't know. I hated this. I hated this movie. There's something about this movie, the quality, the production, everything about it was just a mess. Now I understand it is from 2004, but like, woo, it looks like it's much older than 2004. And not to mention, I thought a lot of the acting and everything was cringy. I didn't vibe with this one. When I read the synopsis, I thought it would be for me, but no, it wasn't. Next, we're getting to one that, oh my goodness. I'm not gonna say too much about this film because I actually have a review coming of this film fairly soon, so keep your eyes peeled. I watched the new Hulu A24 film, False Positive. This one follows a woman who is trying to get pregnant, and she goes to this hospital that specializes in helping women get pregnant, yada yada yada. And apparently this doctor is the best of the best. And when she becomes pregnant, she starts to notice very sinister things going on. Now again, I am not gonna say my rating or too much about this one, as I do have a review coming for it. But yes, I watched this one this month. Next on the list we have Hellraiser. This one is one of my favorite movies from the 80s. If you've been watching my channel, you know that this is a film that I really love. I watched this one because we all know that the Cenobites are queer-coded. If you have not seen Hellraiser for some bizarre reason, you need to. Pinhead is absolutely iconic. And they bring me some like weird comfort. Like I said before, if you cannot watch Hellraiser with me for the vibes, we cannot be friends. Obviously, with it being one of my favorite films of the 80s, I gave it 5 stars out of 5. Then after watching Hellraiser, I watched Hellbound, Hellraiser 2. This one is a bit of a mess for me. It is a bit of a mess. It definitely has some cool moments, but I think ultimately, after the first film, all the other Hellraiser films, they really just don't do it for me. I gave this one 1.5 stars. Yikes, I'm sorry. And last on my list, I watched a David Lynch film. I watched Blue Velvet. Now, this has been on my list for so long, as so many people have been telling me to watch this. I recently just got into Twin Peaks, so I've been on a huge David Lynch kick lately. If you guys know me, I love Eraserhead, and I am now really, really loving Twin Peaks. I think that Blue Velvet was a really beautiful film. It's David Lynch. Like, can he do any wrong? His films are beautiful. Not to mention, Kyle MacLachlan and Laura Dern are incredible in this film together. Laura Dern is such a great actress, and she's adorable. This film was pretty good. Also, I do have to say, after watching this movie, the song Blue Velvet was stuck in my head for many days. But like I said before, David Lynch, for me, he can do no wrong. I gave Blue Velvet 4 stars out of 5. Woo! Okay, you guys, that was a lot of movies to talk about. Oh, I also want to mention, I did start watching a new show this month, and that is called Kevin Can Go Fuck Himself, starring Annie Murphy. If you do not know Annie Murphy, she plays Alexis in Schitt's Creek. I am absolutely obsessed with Schitt's Creek, and if you know me, you know that I have one of the biggest crushes on Annie Murphy ever. What can I say? We didn't forget that it's Bye Girl Summer. I highly recommend Kevin Can Go Fuck Himself. It is really, really cool. It is a cool show. At first, you think you're just watching an ordinary, like, sitcom, and then it's completely different. It is a very fresh take on sitcoms. It is really interesting, and she absolutely shines. All right, you guys, that is it for everything I watched this month. Thank you if you stayed all the way to the end. I know it was a lot of films to talk about. If you have watched any of these films, let me know in the comments down below if you enjoyed any of them. What were some of your favorite watches this month? I'd love to talk about it. Thanks so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.